desert. I like that. I like the fact that they got guys involved in the backfield. I like David Johnson. I like Andre Ellington. Still love Larry Fitzgerald, consummate professional. Just every year, one of the best hands I've ever seen. And they ran a really good defense, just forces turnovers. I think Seattle also has that too. It's going to be a very tight race, and actually probably the most exciting race in the NFL this year. But I'm going to give the edge to the Arizona Cardinals just because of this. And maybe I'm wrong, but this is the way I'm thinking. Seattle's they've really got to learn to adjust life without beast mode. You're
right.
He was the heart and soul of that team.
You're right.
For for their run from their emergence to the top, he's been the heart and soul of the team. How are they going to be? Is Thomas Rawls that guy? I guess we'll find out. But I don't know. I'm going to give the edge slightly to the Cardinals. I don't say the Cardinals edge them out for that division, but don't be surprised if they meet again in the playoffs and the Seahawks win in the playoffs.
For the third straight year, I have drafted Christine Michael in the late rounds.
Boy, Johnny Cash made a song, Boy Named Christine.
Hey, man, I admire the guy's pluck. He
didn't name himself. I guarantee he was the toughest son of a bitch at his high school.
I'm sure he was. I like that Seattle team this year for whatever reason. It just seems to have that little glow to it as a team that might be special. But the Arizona Cardinals, great offensive line. Defense is opportunistic. Tyrann Mathieu is a ball hawk, one of the more instinctive defensive backs in the NFL. I don't disagree with you. I'm just going to go the other way for the sake of going the other way.
All right. I could very much see it playing out as Cardinals win the division, they edge up the division, and maybe Seattle comes back in the playoffs and beats them. It's going to be neck and neck.
Yeah, probably so, man. Probably so. Probably going to be one of the better division battles. So let's get down to this AFC Championship game now. Who is left standing when it's all said and done? This is interesting because, again, we talked about the four best teams according to Vegas numbers, which I don't disagree with at all, being Carolina, Green Bay, Seattle, and Arizona. All four are plus 350 to win the conference. You tell me, man.
This one's tough. This one is tough. I have this feeling. I really like the Arizona Cardinals this year. I like them on paper. I like their offense. I like their defense. I think they're a very, very well-rounded and not to mention a very, very well-coached football team.
They are.
I like the Arizona Cardinals to meet the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl this year.
Who's Arizona play in the NFC Championship game?
Who do they play in the NFC Championship? I think very possibly we could see, like I said, the rematch of the division title. You could see an all NFC West NFC Championship game.
It's a
Seattle taking a wild card and Arizona getting the 1 seed.
It's a real possibility. I think that it's key for Green Bay to have home games, which they should. They should lock up that division. They should have a nice record. They want home field advantage through the playoffs. If it goes through Lambeau, it gets very difficult for the Arizona Cardinals. It doesn't get as difficult for the Green Bay Packers. Or for the Seattle Seahawks. That's a team that can go into Lambeau and beat them. Yeah,
Seattle's done it. They've shown they can do that before.
Yes, that's a team that can do it. I don't know that Arizona does in cold, busted-up weather. I just don't know that they do.
But I think Arizona's going to. I think they're going to lock home field up. I really do. I think they're going to have the road through the Super Bowl is going to go through the desert.
It could. I don't want to leave the Carolina Panthers and their 15-1 record out of this mix, though, man.
I'm not going to leave them out, but I don't know. I think I just like Arizona. I think the NFC is up. I mean, would it surprise me if the Panthers won the Super Bowl or went to the Super Bowl?
No,
either or? No, not at all. Packers, Seahawks, any of those teams would not surprise me at all. Me personally, I like the Arizona Cardinals and everything they bring. I think they're very, very – I don't see many weaknesses on that team.
No, I don't disagree. I don't. Look, I'll tell you what. I'm going to put Carolina back in the NFC Championship game this year.
Okay.
I'm going to put Carolina back in the NFC Championship game, and they're going to play Seattle in Carolina. Not a game I love. Not a matchup I love, but I think Carolina-Seattle. And I don't know why. That Seahawk team may be the fourth best out of these teams. For whatever reason, I see them finding a way. I see a Russell Wilson magical year.
Because the difference between, and you might have you onto something here, because they've shown they can do it. They know how to get there. And they're all, those guys are all still together for the most part since that team that went and won the Super Bowl. And this team knows how to go there and get it done. They do.
I think they did release that Brandon Browner today, or maybe it was the Saints that released him.
But I will mention my pick can be a little risky. I'm going to stand by it. I'm going to stand with the Cardinals, but could be one fatal flaw to my pick, and it's keeping Carson Palmer upright.
Yeah, Drew Stanton, hell of a dancer, but not the backup quarterback you need.
No, and Carson Palmer's he's not a spring chicken, especially in NFL terms anymore. One bad hit on a Sunday, and there you go. There's my story. And they're with Logan Thomas and Drew Stanton or whoever's standing in, they're not going there with them.
Yeah,
they're not. Those guys are not. They're not going to the Super Bowl with them under center.
No, neither one of those guys are winning you football games, and that defense isn't that good to where they're going to be able to ride a backup quarterback. Hey, are they on the phone to the San Francisco 49ers? Bruce Arians is a guy that could probably bring a Kaepernick in and say, listen, kid, this is how we're going to do things. Because I do think that Kaepernick's track record proves that he has issues. He's not a coachable player. I think he was under Harbaugh because Harbaugh is the controlling type that came in and said, listen, if you got to do it my way, and that was it. But the moment Harbaugh was gone, Kaepernick's game fell to pieces. Everything about him fell to pieces. He was no longer big, strong, mobile, fast, made poor decisions, started to turn the ball over a lot. I think he got put into a system that didn't work for him. Harbaugh was wise enough to put him in the right place. Not to say that Thomasula was a good coach, because that guy was a joke. And you and
that was a system buddy hire, nothing more.
It was a buy us one more year before we have to pay somebody again hire. That was What was you got to wonder what was that? Jim Tomsula and that had no credentials whatsoever. None. And so far over his head. And I think you and I had discussed it last year at the beginning of his first press conference when it was just all cliches. We're going to go out and 100% and push the other guy harder, and we're going to be tougher and faster. And, all those things, great. None of them matter. Get in the film room, start with the X's and O's, put a scheme together. I don't think he knew how to run a football team. He's probably a great defensive line coach.
Yeah, maybe so, but he probably even got the job, and he probably was even like, huh? He probably got called into that. The Yorks probably called him into that room and said, we're going to hire you as our football coach. He probably looked at them like, really?
Yeah, and look,
all right.
There's the old saying, don't ever turn down a promotion. If I'm him, that would have been one I would have turned down.
Even though in the back of your mind you're like, I know I'm getting paid a lot more money, and that's fine, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know how to do this.
Not ready for that. He wasn't ready for it. So, that organization, along with the organization further south in San Diego, seem to be the two bigger dumpster fires in the NFL this year. You and I are both in agreement on a lot of things, and a couple other things we're going to juggle, and we'll find out. We'll find out come the end of January, early February. Where is the Super Bowl this year? I don't know shit tonight. Is it in Miami?
You stumped the shop on that one. I don't know.
I did. I don't know where it is. Is it in Minnesota?
probably the cheapest Super Bowl ticket you'll ever find.
Might be, but you know what? We got that old great search engine, Lugal, and we can look up where is the Super Bowl and find out that answer. I'm sure people listening out there are going, "Well, you guys shut up," but we don't really want to.
Well, like everybody's been saying. Freedom of everybody. I've just heard that everywhere. Freedom of speech, First Amendment.
Yeah.
You don't like what we're talking about? Turn it off.
Yeah, you don't like it? Go to hell. We're just talking here.
That's right,
Houston.
Man.
It's in Houston, NRG Stadium.
Okay.
So that's cool. I mean, at least you know it won't be snow. Shouldn't be snow, anyhow. So who is in Houston the end of the year? That's a whole other topic for a whole other show, I guess, man. What else is going on out there? Anything football relative? We know that Teddy Bridgewater is probably not looking too good. We know that Tony Romo, I think, unfortunately, we just saw his career end.
Yeah, I think so too. And that makes me upset a little bit because I always stuck up for Tony Romo. I always thought he was underappreciated his whole career. And I think you'll realize how good Tony Romo was and was when he's gone. I think a lot of people will, because, like, I'll always maintain, Tony Romo was a very, 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 very good quarterback throughout his entire career. What happened when he got the biggest knock for being late for the late in games, stumbles, the interceptions, the making mistakes. But here's the catch to it. He had to do too much. He was put in that position way too often. One year, the Cowboys gave him a really good offensive line, a running game, and a semi-competent defense that could stop somebody. What happened? The Cowboys won the division. They went 12-4. Yeah. Tony Romo threw 37 touchdowns compared to only 4 or 5 interceptions. Yeah, would have been the league MVP if it weren't for a guy named Aaron Rodgers. So
that's right.
So there you go. That 1 year he had all the tools around him. Look what he did.
No, and that's the difficult part of the NFL. It's just not that easy. You can put all the pieces in place. You just have to have better pieces than somebody else that year. There is some updated news here on Teddy Bridgewater. He has suffered a significant knee injury that will end his 2016 season before it begins.
Well, I could have figured as much.
Yeah, they released a statement tonight, and it does not appear to have any damage to nerves or arteries and should be able to make a full recovery, which is good news for the young guy. But he suffered a non-contact injury today, quickly identified as a dislocated knee. Once it was stabilized, got an MRI, determined that he suffered a complete tear to his ACL and some other structural damage. The no nerve or arterial damage is good news. I'm not a surgeon today, but that is good news. That that means his career likely will not end. He's got a long road of rehab, but surgery on these are great, man. This is a similar injury to Adrian Peterson, and I'm sure Peterson is probably on the phone with him going, look, dude, you can get through this. And I'm sure Sean Hill right now is calling somebody going, whoa, boy, here I go again.
No, Adrian Peterson's adding more tape around his knees this year because he knows or Mike Zimmer's calling Adrian Peterson right now and saying, look, dude, you're all we got. We're going to ride. Adrian Peterson's taking an extra ice bath tonight like, oh, shit. Here I go.
Got load to carry. I'll tell you what, though, Sean Hill in San Francisco, he was with the Lions at one point or two. I'm not going to say he's their savior, but he was really serviceable or maybe below that line slightly.
Okay, but I was going to say,
but he's not good.
Other kids don't do drugs and get on the air.
No, I know. Look, I'm an eternal optimist, man. But no, he was not good. He was a guy who came in on a bad team and was able to at least not look horrible. But they didn't win games with Sean.
Yeah, compared to Dan Orlovsky running out of the back of the end zone. I don't know. Hey, if you want to find a silver lining.
You're the Minnesota Vikings. You got to find a quarterback. You got to find one right now. And this should be a lesson to all NFL teams. You need to have a capable backup. You're not going to have 2 stars in your team. The days of Joe Montana and Steve Young, those days are gone. You can't pay 2 guys to sit there and do it, but you do need to have somebody very serviceable behind you. This is bad. I wonder if they're on the phone to a Mike Glennon in Tampa. I wonder if Tampa's willing to part with him. His contract is up after this year. I don't know why they'd want him to stick around if they could get something for him. Glennon's not a bad quarterback. Not a great one, but not bad.
I mean, what about... Man, I think the best available option right now, because it looks like all roads lead to the Niners will cut Kaepernick.
Yeah.
So
they'll probably bring him in, kick the tires. Maybe they'll cut a deal for maybe they'll look at a Josh McCown back up in Cleveland. Maybe they'll go to the Raiders and look at a Matt McGloin.
Yeah, it looks like the Browns are just willing to take as many draft picks as possible, which I like for that organization. I think it's great.
I would. Why not?
I would, yeah, absolutely. Here, I would shop Josh McCown right now.
Steal Andy Lee?
Who wants him?
Yeah, it's a punter. Trade him. You're not going to win 8 games this year. Trade your punter if you can get a 4th-round draft pick.
And if you are going to win 8 games, it sure as hell is not going to be because you have an elite punter. Just ask your beloved Oakland Raiders for all those years with Shane Leckler. They were going 2-14. Shane Leckler was their best player.
He was the only Pro Bowler on that team for years. So, yeah, that all sucks. Sucks mightily, my man. Sucks mightily. Sorry for the Vikings fans out there. I think we should probably wrap this party up, Joe. As some folks out there might know, I'm going to be hopefully, man, nothing guaranteed, but I'm going to hopefully be hopping on a plane here and getting up to the great state of Ohio to visit Canton and hang out with your ugly ass for a couple days. We're gonna have a little good time. I'm gonna bring the little lady up there to celebrate our new